All right, we're gonna make a super simple cauliflower bhaji, which is a super easy all vegetable Indian dish. And we're gonna start with I'm using sort of a wider pot because you wanna be able to stir the cauliflower and the onions and everything in there really good, and the spices. So make sure your pot isn't too narrow and deep. Make sure it's a little bit wider. We're gonna start with just some virgin coconut oil. That's about 2 tablespoons. And I like to use virgin coconut oil for heat, but you can use any other oil that you want. I just think that this is the best oil for heat tolerance, high heat tolerance. So it's going to be the healthiest, although it does have saturated fat. So if you're trying to avoid saturated fat, you might want to go with maybe an avocado oil or something like that. This is just my favorite high heat oil, avocado oil. So we're going to let that get hot for just a little minute. That might take about a minute or two to get hot. All right, now that the oil's hot, we're going to go ahead and add, this is 2 medium onions that comes out to about 2½ cups. And they're just diced, not too small, just nice hearty dices of onions. And we're going to give that a little bit of a stir. And then we're also going to add our entire whole head of cauliflower, and this is basically just broken into manageable pieces. Now, in a lot of Indian cooking, the recipe calls for toasting the spices beforehand in the oil. This recipe calls for doing it afterwards, but if you wanted more of an aromatic, intense Indian spice flavor, you could toast the spices ahead of time, although I don't know that I would toast the turmeric ahead. Turmeric doesn't like to be toasted so much, but the coriander and cumin, I think you could totally toast those. And you can even toast the garlic if you wanted to. So we're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes and just stirring it occasionally to let it start to brown a little bit. And when that's done, we add some more ingredients. Okay, so this has been simmering for at high heat for about 5 minutes. And we've just been getting the onions and the cauliflower just sauteed a little bit. And now we're going to go ahead and add the spices. So this is 2 teaspoons of coriander, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You can also improvise with the cayenne pepper, and you can use a smoked paprika or a chipotle chili powder, which will be a little more mild and could add a little bit of smoky flavor to it. And then you want to stir those spices around and let those spices distribute over the vegetables and let them make contact with the hot oil so they start to toast and cook a little bit. And we're going to do this for about another 5 minutes. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add the garlic. This is about 2 cloves of garlic, about 1 tablespoon. And this is about what we call 1 inch of ginger, which would be about 1 inch of piece cut on a ginger root. It comes out to about 1½ tablespoons. And we're going to put that in there and mix that in. I didn't put those in with the other spices because for this particular one, I like to toast them just a tiny bit, not too much. And then we're going to go ahead and add, this is about 1.5 cups of peeled, seeded, and diced tomatoes. Tomato concasse if you want to make it homemade, or you could just get it out of a can or a box. It would be the equivalent of about 1 standard can of diced tomatoes. And you mix that in a little bit. I really love turmeric and tomato together. I think it makes a really great color, and it tastes amazing. And then we're going to add 1¼ cups of just standard vegetable broth. You could use vegetable broth. You can use chicken broth if you want, bone broth if you're not going totally plant-based. And you don't want it to be a soup. You want it to just kind of be like a little bit of a simmer sauce, basically, right? And then we're going to go ahead and cover this and let this simmer now at this point. We're not gonna add the spinach till the end. I like to add the spinach at the end because when you don't cook the spinach too much, it's more fresh in the dish and it retains more of its living enzymes and nutrients, which is pretty awesome. We're gonna let this simmer for about 10 minutes. It doesn't take very long, and I'm gonna cover it just to preserve some of the heat in there so it heats up a little faster. But it doesn't take very long for the cauliflower to cook, so probably about 10 minutes. All right, now I just took the top off this, and I'm going to take, this is about a pound of spinach, about the equivalent of 2 bunches, or maybe about 4 cups packed. And I left it whole leaf because I like the big leaves to really stay intact, and they really add texture. It seems like you're adding tons, but when you, oh wow, check it out, I got a piece of cilantro in there. Huh, I think I'll just let it stay. You can stay cilantro. It looks like it's huge, but if you cover it and let it simmer for about a minute, it actually wilts down and it turns into almost nothing. So I'm going to put that cover on there, let that simmer for just another couple minutes. All right, so this spinach has been sort of wilting in there for about 5 minutes, maybe a little more. And I'm just going to go ahead and stir it in. And we're getting to almost to serving time. As you can see, like I said, the spinach really reduces in size, and if you feel like you want more greens in your dinner and it gets to wilts down too much, you can add more spinach. You can add a little bit of chopped up kale or any kind of greens you have, baby broccoli or something like that. Just make sure if it's more dense like broccoli that you give it time to cook, or maybe steam it ahead of time or something. But this is pretty much a done deal. Look at how beautiful and colorful that is. Nice big chunks of cauliflower. That's looking pretty awesome, right? Now you can serve this up in just a bowl by itself, or vegetables do have protein, but if you want to get extra protein and kind of boost up the protein a little bit, you can serve this with some traditional lentils and some brown rice on the side, or some quinoa, or any kind of legumes or beans that you have on hand would be great on the side. You can even mix chickpeas into it if you want, although that's not traditional. That's something you could definitely add. So there's lots that you can do with this awesome recipe, and I'm basically just going to show you one great way to serve it is just to take, you know, a mug like this and just go in here and dish it in. You've got a great snack. That's awesome. Also be sure and taste it for salt and pepper. My vegetable broth was already seasoned, so I didn't need to put any salt and pepper in this. But it's looking pretty awesome, I think. And that's just another great dish that proves that healthy does not have to be hard. So have fun in the kitchen and you know, create some awesome flavors and kick up those plants in your diet, and have an awesome day. Bye for now.